Hey, Foot Clan, before we break down some of this week's matchups, want to remind you about the Ultimate DFS Pass. This is the only place you need to go to get those cash picks, those tournament picks, because you're going to play some FanDuel this weekend. You're going to play some DraftKings. Why not get a leg up on the competition with information from some of the best DFS experts in the land? Head over to dfspass.com and you can check out everything that it has to offer.
Welcome to the Fantasy Footballers Podcast, coming to you from the Play Draft Studios with your hosts, Andy Holloway, Jason Moore, and Mike Wright.
Welcome to the Fantasy Footballers Podcast. I'm glad that you're here.
Oh, I am as well. And you know who else? I'm glad that Jay Grizz is here.
Jay Grizz is always here.
Jay Grizz never abandons us.
He can't move, Jason.
No, I saw someone on Twitter. They were saying that, you know, they've listened for a long time, and they always assume that Jay Grizz was like a producer who just sits in and doesn't really say much, thought he was hairy or something. We make fun of him. And then they went to YouTube and found out that, no, Jay Grizz is indeed a 7-foot bear. So go to youtube.com/thefantasyfootballers.
He certainly is, and he fills in when one of us cannot be present at the show. And that one would be Andy Holloway, who's he'll be back on Monday. But I am here. Jason is here. I am your host today, Mike the Fantasy Hitman Wright, joined by Jason Moore. You can find us on Twitter at the FF Ballers, and you can follow our personal accounts, which Jason has a tale to tell today from his personal account, which is a very good follow. You find him at JasonFFL, and you can find me at FF Hitman. Before we get into the news, you got to jump into that quick question. This one comes in from Mike McKinnish. I got psyched out by the Mike with a Y.
Ooh, I think that's Mike.
All right, Mike McKinnish. Is it good or bad strategy to set your lineup based on your opponent's lineup, i.e. starting the quarterback to your opponent's wide receiver, vice versa? How do you handle that? Do you let the other person get inside your head and affect how you set things?
Oh, certainly not. I don't let them get in my head. However, your opponent—
You get in their head.
Yes, you're darn right I do. Your opponent and your actual matchup of your team versus the other team makes a huge difference. I mean, you got to factor all of the things in. There's no week where I set my lineup without looking at my opponent. Who is my opponent? You know, what is my record? What is their record? And what type of team are we? Am I playing a guy or gal that is just have a monster roster? You know, they're putting up 150 points a week, in which case I know if I want to beat them, I'm going with the home runs. I'll throw in the Deshaun Jackson play where it's like he could go off for, you know, that 90-yard touchdown. So I factored that in. It is more rare that I would actually play a specific player because of team makeup, but there is a situation where I like playing the pass-catching option of my opponent's quarterback. I don't like the opposite. Right?
I don't either.
Because obviously every single time that a quarterback throws to a wide receiver, the wide receiver outscores the quarterback on that play because they're getting a point per 10 yards, whereas quarterbacks usually get a point per 25 yards. And then in most leagues, touchdowns are 4 for the quarterback, 6 for the positional players. So that's where if you're playing a really great team, you know, I would choose to put in Devontae Adams if I had a, you know, similar replacement if I'm going up against a team that has Aaron Rodgers, for instance.
I'm basically identical to everything that Jason just said, that I take the look. It's like the game plan. You're getting ready for a team. You got to know how to attack.
And if that team stinks,
then you go with the floor.
Yeah, you go with those safe guys. You just don't want to put up a dud and let your opponent sneak in a victory.
No, those sneaky victories are the worst.
Unless they're yours.
Oh,
I love those victories. I put up 50 points and I won. I always credit my defense in those situations.
Yeah, your defense has been clutch by defense, I mean you doing nothing.
Right.
But you take all the credit because that's what you do. If you want to find out how we are, who we would start in what order, we have our rankings, and they are available on the website, thefantasyfootballers.com. And, of course, you can join our fantasy football community with all kinds of things for the show, like an extra episode, which we are recording today.
Let me just pause for a second.
And that's jointhefoot.com.
Yes, jointhefoot.com. That's our Patreon community with all of the listeners here that are, the official Foot Clan. And we do this Thursday show every week, the Footcast, where it's just your questions, the questions from the listeners over on jointhefoot.com. And that show usually is a little bit crazier than this show.
Because it's a little bit
you're
it's
just
loose.
with friends.
The top button is undone.
For sure.
We don't
I'm not
ever
wearing
wear
pants.
We
No, never wear pants.
Never.
And the thing is Dad is gone. So the Thursday, I've all week been looking forward to the Footcast because the Footcast today is going to be crazy.
It absolutely is going to be crazy. And another perk from help and support the show at jointhefoot.com, you get access to the Flex rankings.
That's what everybody always wants.
On top of many, many other things. But now it's time to talk news.
News and notes from around the league.
Take it away, Jason.
All right. Well,
Do we need this?
Yeah, I'm going to need some music here for a journal entry.
For the diary?
For the diary, first I have to apologize to my followers and to myself. I had this wrong concept about a man named Tyler Eifert. I hadn't heard much. He had been injured, as he is wont to do.
He's one, yeah.
Yeah. But they're on their bye week. His original timetable looked like he should be able to be back around now, the extra week of bye. I thought, wow, he's a sneaky good pickup right now. And I looked in my leagues, and I found him on 2 different waiver wires. I picked him up. I picked him up $1 over you. You were trying to pick him up. Oh, so I go on the Twitter sphere, and I say, hey, people, look for Tyler Eifert. Pick him up.
This is a long diary.
45.
This entry's so long, we're out of music.
45 minutes later, he's getting back surgery in Los Angeles. His season is over. You're welcome. I will try to not have that poor of timing on my sneaky pickups from here on out. Out of my control.
So if you did not decipher the ramblings of a madman,
yeah.
Tyler Eifert is undergoing back surgery. He is out for the season. A player who is back, though, Jordan Reed, Washington tight end, no longer listed on the injury report. Sounds like we're full go.
Yeah,
for Jordan Reed.
That's what you want to see. I mean, you don't want to see Jordan Reed struggling through injury. You want to see him not on there. He's a full go. He's not worried about his shoulder or his chest or his head right now, so he's a must start.
It sounds like Rob Kelley is a long shot running back for Washington, so that means Samaje Perine time.
Samaje is going to get 20-plus carries, and they face the San Francisco 49ers. That's a great pickup, a great start. I mean, you could play him this week, assuming that Rob Kelley does indeed miss, which I think right now
I think he's going to miss. Packers news, Jordy Nelson and Ty Montgomery have both been practicing, which that's great news for Jordy because that would say he's going to play after missing the final drive last week. For Montgomery, you still don't know. He practiced last week.
Right. It's no sure thing that he's going to start. If the ribs are indeed broken, the pain tolerance, you can practice. Your own team is not going to be smashing you in the ribs when you know you've got broken ribs. You can practice in full, but doing that in a game is very different. I'm not confident that he's going to start this week, and if he does start, I think he's a risky play.
And there's even reports from ESPN. Rob Demovsky says the Packers could start Aaron Jones regardless of Ty Montgomery's status. So, I mean,
if Ty Montgomery is active and they say, okay, Aaron Jones is starting, Ty Montgomery is going to be active, do you start either of them, both of them, neither of them?
Jones.
You would still start Jones?
I would still start
with
Jones.
Ty Montgomery active?
Yeah, because he has broken ribs. And that's high risk.
Yeah.
And their running backs are inefficient. They look like the Michelin Man because they throw on that giant Kevlar vest and They're going to kind of waddle through the line. It's a bad look. You got to let Ty Montgomery rest. Speaking of resting, Corey Davis is out again for the Titans.
Heal up, Corey Davis.
Yeah. Good news out of Chargers camp. Mike Williams, early first-round rookie wide receiver, he is expected to play.
No. He is expecting to play.
Oh,
he is not expected to play.
I stand corrected.
And when I see, players coming out, who was it? Mike Upati was like, I'm 100% going to play. Oh, you're on IR.
Yeah.
So, look, he's close. I mean, the report before this was he's very close to being back. And what that means to me is he's not back. I mean, when you're very close, that means not all the way there. Now, he's expecting to play. That's good news. You're not going to – no one in the world would start him. I don't even know if you need to pick him up yet.
I would agree with that. But what we can say for sure about Mike Williams is when his back is back, he'll be back.
All right.
You're not sure? It was a back injury, Jason.
I got you. I just they can't all be winners.
That was a slam dunk.
Really?
Yeah.
We're gonna have to put up a
Judge
poll.
Giamatti, give me a ruling on that pun.
Judge.
he wasn't ready.
He wasn't ready. He didn't have that gavel.
Get in there, Judge.
Bad joke.
Oh no!
Yes.
No.
Good judge.
I thought it was good. Sterling Shepard, New York Giants. He did not practice Thursday. He is not expected to play with the ankle injury, and we have an update for the Philadelphia Eagles who are playing tonight. Right tackle Lane Johnson is out, and that's
a big deal.
Bad news.
Yeah. Now, so Lane Johnson basically missed half of this last game. So we have current season 2 Carson Wentz data that shows he wasn't horrific with Lane Johnson out. So there's reason for hope. But listen to the splits here for Carson Wentz in his early career with and without Lane Johnson, because he's got 11 games with Lane Johnson, and he's got 10 games without Lane Johnson when he was suspended last year, and they are not close. You're talking about with Lane Johnson in there, 20 touchdowns to 5 interceptions. In the games where Lane Johnson was not there and the pressure was able to get to Carson Wentz much easier, 6 touchdowns versus 20 and 12 interceptions versus 5. So in tonight's game, I mean, we talked.
The Panthers are a very good defense.
Panthers are a great defense. They're able to get pressure on you. Without Lane Johnson, that's going to be tough. And I think Carson Wentz is a guy that you can start. I think I've got him ranked as my 13th quarterback, which says to me, I hope to not start him. I'm always going to want a
He's
top
right around
12
there
guy.
for me as well.
But you definitely need to be a little bit more worried about Carson Wentz on the road. No Lane Johnson. Great defensive matchup tonight.
Yep, absolutely. And just recall, last season, Carson Wentz came in. He was setting the rookie world on fire. He with great play, no mistakes, because Lane Johnson was able to push his suspension down the road. Then he went out and things they really collapsed there late or in midseason for Carson Wentz.
Yeah, we don't know if that was because of Lane Johnson, or maybe his arm got tired, or whatever it was. But we'll find out more tonight. But it's just a risky start, which also has to impact and lower expectations for Alshon Jeffrey.
Sure, and it's Thursday night. Things are crazy on Thursday night. But let's talk the rest of the matchups.
Fantasy Forecast.
The Miami Dolphins travel to Atlanta, where the Falcons are huge favorites, 11.5 points. It's in the Dome.
Atlanta coming off of bye at home, the highest implied point total of the week for a home team, for any team, but also their home, according to Vegas. So you start all your Falcons. I think Devonta Freeman is going to have a monstrous week.
As in you're saying, if you have Tevin Coleman, play him with confidence?
Yeah, I would be happy to play Tevin Coleman.
RB2 or flex are you talking here?
I think RB2. I think he's going to be a safe enough start this week. I expect the Falcons to just run the Dolphins into misery.
If Aaron Jones is playing with Ty Montgomery, would you play Aaron Jones or
I would
Tevin
play
Coleman?
Tevin Coleman. I'm just more confident. I know what his role will be. We've seen it now for years, whereas Aaron Jones could definitely beat out Tevin Coleman without a doubt, or he could get the ball 5 times.
Sure. Julio Jones should be back. He took that kind of the bad spill a couple weeks ago, but he's had some time to rest. Taylor Gabriel, I love him in this matchup so much that we are going to talk about him a little bit later.
Yeah,
I think
Mohamed Sanu's gone.
Yes. The tricky part of this game is the Dolphins. What do you do?
Well, before we leave Atlanta, there's one other guy I want to throw out there because I do think that if you are in a pinch, you could start him, which is Austin Hooper.
Okay.
Austin Hooper actually led
Austin
the team.
Deucer?
Oh, man. We're off to a bad start with these jokes.
The bad jokes are going to continue
Of
until
course.
you just accept them.
I like that one.
Yes!
All right.
Yes!
They've been accepted. So now you can stop.
Oh, no, he blew it. He got more than 2 targets.
Yeah, that's true. Austin Hooper had, I think, like 8 targets last week, led the team in targets, had 5 receptions, 50 yards.
2 weeks ago.
Yeah, well, right. They were on bye last week, 2 weeks ago. But that happened because Julio and Sanu were out. And so they used him more in pass-catching role. Julio's back, but Sanu is gone, so maybe. And the matchup's pretty good against Dolphins. So let's talk about these Dolphins.
Say the Falcons have only targeted the tight end 17 times. Would be fewest. But he did see the big uptick when every possible option for Matt Ryan was gone. Yeah. But there certainly could be something there. The Miami Dolphins, my goodness, they've averaged 10.3 points a game. That's the worst. And I'm not just saying that's the worst in the league. I'm just saying that is the worst.
Yeah, it's just
how in today's
despicable.
NFL, how do you average 10 points?
What's the craziest?
That's impossible.
The craziest part about that, the absolute most insane part is not only are they only averaging 10 points, but 7 of those points came in a game when they were down 21-0 with 6 seconds left to go in the game, and they had to call a timeout to get a last-second garbage
it was the right
time
thing
touchdown.
to do, Jason.
It was not.
It was the right thing to do.
Yeah,
so.
their offense has been putrid, horrific.
Okay, so Jay Ajayi.
I'm starting Jay Ajayi.
He's getting the volume. So you're a full start on him. Jarvis Landry, he's been targeted almost 11 times a game. So I think you're safe there. Devontae Parker dealing with the ankle injury. Will he? Won't he? That's what people are asking.
Right now, I lean that he will not. I lean that he's not going to play. We'll have much more information as the week goes on. I've had a lot of people going, why is he so low in your rankings? It's because I currently don't expect him to play. I'm trying to let you know, find another option. If he does play, I think he's a good play. There's going to be a lot of points put up there. The Dolphins are going to have to throw the ball. You don't know. Trufant, is he going to be? He doesn't really always shadow a guy. So I think Devontae Parker's okay if he plays, but I don't expect him to.
Bears, Ravens. The Ravens are at home, and they're favored by nearly a touchdown, a 40-point over-under. Jason, what are your storylines for the Ravens versus the Bears?
The storylines here are the main one for me is that the Baltimore Ravens, I think their offense is starting to get it together.
That's my main one as well.
And so if Joe Flacco can move this team a little bit more, just get back to being an average NFL quarterback, which he's always been, I think
he is the averagest of the elite.
No, he's yeah, I mean, I've heard that argument, but I just have never believed that Joe Flacco is elite.
I'm referring to Joe Flacco. Never mind. You're not in on that. The whole is Joe Flacco elite talk.
No, because he's not. There's a lot of pieces that I really like. I am okay starting Jeremy Maclin. I don't love him.
Really?
Look, his targets have still been there, and the Bears don't scare me. They're at home. I am okay starting Jeremy Maclin. I'm not in love with it. I am in love with starting Buck Allen. We'll talk about him later. He's my start of the week.
Sure. Anyone else that you're actually going to start, though, from Baltimore? Mike Wallace, back-to-back, pretty big games, but on very low volume. He's just hitting on those huge plays.
Yeah, I'm not starting Mike Wallace. Can't rely on those few targets. I would be willing to throw Alex Collins in if I had a bye week issue and he was the best option out there. On the Bears side of the ball, are you starting anybody? I mean, obviously Jordan
Howard is a start every single week because has running back one upside. He would have been an RB1 had the refs not gotten involved the way that they did last week. I mean, I'll play Zach Miller just based off of the usage and
the tight end landscape.
Yeah, in the way that Mitch Trubisky played. I mean, he looked okay. He looked okay, but
Baltimore's secondary is as good as it gets in the league. So Mitch Trubisky is going to have a really difficult time, I think, going to Baltimore, moving the ball. They're going to need Zach Miller. He's the only other pass-catching guy. Basically, you've got Jordan Howard and Zach Miller in a pinch that you can start. I'm not starting Tariq Cohen. I don't want.
We've moved there.
Yeah, I don't want anything to do with him. I don't think you can trust Kendall Wright against the Baltimore cornerbacks. So very few pieces there.
If you hung on and trusted the Ravens through those two debacles, you've been rewarded now with a great matchup against Oakland. Gets this great matchup against Trubisky.
The defense.
The Ravens defense, yes. The DST. Next week they get the Vikings with presumably Case Keenum. Then they get the Dolphins after that. So if you have the Ravens, hold on to them.
Keep rolling them out there. All right, the Browns and Texans next up. Before we talk about them in depth, want to make sure everyone is aware of what's going on with our studio sponsor, Draft. This week is a huge week for Draft. If you haven't yet gone to draft.com/ballers and downloaded the app and played on Draft, we play it every week. We've got it on the show every Friday. It is a blast, but it's a huge, huge week. It's the biggest week ever on Draft because they are launching the multiplayer draft tournaments, and they're offering huge redeposit bonuses this week, literally just this week. This is the inaugural multiplayer tournament. There will never be another week where they have an inaugural multiplayer tournament.
That's generally speaking with an inaugural. There can be only one.
Yes. And so what it is, $10 entry, $35,000 prize pool. It's a 4-round tournament with just 8-person drafts. So you're playing up against 8 people. If you win 1 week, you're in the money. You win 4 straight weeks, and you win $5,000.
Hey-o.
Plus, they got a deposit bonus. Get a free entry to the inaugural multiplayer tournament. Just deposit $100. You'll automatically get a free $10 entry ticket. Just go to draft.com/ballers. You will enjoy the game. It's a great, great, great game.
Want to thank Fantasy Champs for sponsoring today's show. This is the best place. This is where you go for your fantasy football hardware. When you have won, you got to celebrate.
Foot Clan
yeah,
time.
when you got that Foot Clan title, you need to celebrate. Get yourself that championship ring and get one of these amazing cases that displays. I mean, the light is hitting these this beautiful glass
if
case
you looked at
with the mirrors.
If you looked at our office, you walk into where me, you, and Andy.
There's a lot of impressive hardware.
We got these 6 ring cases up on the wall. Whew, looking good.
And I know there's some of you out there, you play fantasy baseball, and that's okay. But if you've won your fantasy baseball, you got to celebrate with trophies, with a ring over there at fantasychamps.com. And, of course, the creme de la creme, you can upgrade that fantasy league trophy. Check out fantasychamps.com. You can use the promo code BALLERS.
Save 10%.
You will save 10%. Let's move to the next game. The Browns take on the Texans. It is in Houston. The Texans are favored by 9.5 points. We're talking a 46.5 point over-under. It is. We've gone through 3 matchups now, and this is not very inspiring.
No, we're starting at the bottom, and we're going to work our way up.
Got to climb the ladder.
Although Atlanta was all systems.
I guess,
but then you don't talk about it. They're so good. It's just like start everyone from Atlanta. Here in this game, obviously the biggest storyline is Deshaun Watson. Great matchup. As I was like statting the players out, I still want to kind of not believe in Deshaun Watson. I'm like, all right, I'm going to give him like just over 200 yards and 1 touchdown, probably 1 rushing touchdown, 1 passing touchdown. So it's like, that just doesn't sound that great. And, he'll probably get 40 yards on the ground because he rushes. He ends up as my number 5 quarterback. With like that, it's when you rush, and I hate that quarterback rushing yards are worth so much more than passing yards. But that's the way fantasy football is. So you've got to start him, unless you can preferably trade him. In my world, I would love to trade him for a quality running back or a studly wide receiver because I think you're going to be able to replace Deshaun Watson. He's got a tough matchup next week and a bye week coming up. So, yeah, that's how I feel about him. What do you do with Will Fuller? 4 touchdowns last 2 weeks. You buying in?
We talked about this. I think was it a 32 touchdown pace if he played 16
good.
season? Yeah, I would take that. This is, I mean, it's like Mike Wallace. I mean, you're counting on this big play. Now it's come through 2 weeks in a row.
4 times.
I mean, at the beginning of this show, we talked about looking at your opposition's lineup. If you need juice, then I'm okay flexing Will Fuller, but that's all he is to me at this point.
A high upside.
You can't count on 2 receptions for 2 touchdowns.
But he is, I will say this, he is the number 2 wide receiver for Deshaun Watson. Like, he's clearly established that role now. And if Deshaun Watson finishes the year as, a top 10 quarterback,
right,
he probably will produce too. So it is tough because the targets aren't there, the volume isn't there, but the offense is there. Now, in this matchup, you've got the Cleveland Browns are usually a team that you think of as you're going to run on them nonstop. This year, it hasn't really been the case. Surprisingly, they are giving up so many points to the quarterback, but they're holding the running backs in check, and they've come up against some pretty darn good ones. So Lamar Miller,
he's still a must start. His volume is great. He's getting involved in the passing game even more with Deshaun Watson under center. I think Lamar Miller is not getting talked about enough. Since the change in the offense, and you've seen things clicking for Houston, all the Lamar Miller haters, I'm not hearing anything. I'm not hearing from them.
That's because you sit next to a Lamar Miller truther.
I know, and I kind of hold on to your cape as you soar through the Lamar Miller clouds because I like him. I think that he was worth drafting, and Deontay Foreman is just a handcuff at this point. Or is there any kind of world where you would start Foreman?
No, not in this matchup. Where the Browns have been beat by the running backs has actually been through the air. That is not, despite the fact that he's
had some big plays.
Had
but
a big play.
His
That's
job.
not usually his role. So I would not start Deontay Foreman. Obviously, DeAndre Hopkins must start every week. So you're starting him, starting Watson. You could flex Fuller and definitely start Lamar Miller.
Now the last question for the Texans, I should say. Cleveland Browns allowing 12.3 fantasy points to the tight end average. That's worst in the league. Ryan Griffin, are you joining Team Gryffindor this week?
Gryffindor. It makes sense. It makes sense if you want to take that glory
Griffin
play
or
shot
Hooper?
in the dark. But I've had that question on my team that I co-own with Brooks.
The impartial judge.
We have decided to roll Austin Hooper.
All right.
So I'm probably not getting in on Ryan Griffin. He is maybe more of a DFS play if you're in one of those big tournaments, someone that maybe not everyone is buying into. The Browns.
I've got a hot stat over here from Scott Barrett, good friend of the show, because that's what he does. He tweets out hot stats. Duke Johnson, right? I mean, pretty close to a running back. 1, if you're in a half-point or full-point scoring format, but check out these market shares. With Deshaun Kaiser getting almost 18% of the targets. But when Kevin Hogan plays, he gets under 11% of the targets. Ricardo Lewis, when Deshaun Kaiser was playing, was getting 10.6% of the targets. But when Kevin Hogan came in, Ricardo Lewis got almost 24% of the targets. Does that scare you a little bit for Duke Johnson while, of course, on the inverse, elevating the possibility that Ricardo Lewis is a sneaky play this week?
No, it doesn't. I mean, sample size matters. We have such a small sample size with Hogan. You're talking about pieces of games. You're not even talking about full games.
The sample's not huge for Kaiser either.
Well, sure, but Kaiser's gone through the practice, the game script. He's been the starter to start the game. Chris Hogan has never done that yet with the Browns. So he's coming in and going, okay.
Did you call him Chris Hogan again?
Yeah, dude, I'm
Get
dumb.
it together.
I am not starting Ricardo Lewis. I refuse. I got Higgins before. I don't think you can start any pass catcher from the Cleveland Browns other than Duke Johnson, even if Duke Johnson's target share is lower than 18%. He's still going to be involved enough if you're in a PPR or half PPR where I'll start him.
Are you flying with the Crow?
No, the Crow, I clipped his wings.
Ooh.
The Crow can fly about 3 feet off the ground now, and he just kind of floats across the room and then needs to immediately land.
Oh, that's so sad. Moving on, Packers take on the Minnesota Vikings. The Packers are on the road, but they are still favored by 3 points, 46.5-point over-under. Is it Sammy Biscuits or is it Case Keenum this week, Jason?
It's Case Keenum. Sammy Biscuits had plenty of time to recover, could not, stay on the field. I can't fathom him being out there. If he starts, I think that I can't trust a single weapon there because I don't think he'll finish the game. So and Minnesota's a smart team. They're a well-run organization. I think Case Keenum will be the starter, and then I can have a little bit more trust in Adam Thielen. I worry a lot about Stefon Diggs right now with the groin injury.
My groin. Dude, he says he's going to play, but you saw how much he was hobbled this past week with, I believe, the one reception. He's a kind of a breakout superstar right now. Can you play Stefon Diggs with confidence knowing that the groin is still nagging?
The groin and Case Keenum combination says I'm not going to start Diggs with any kind of confidence. If you're in a pinch, you got bye week issues, and he is to me a flyer that he could have a good week, but just can't trust him. Not going to rely on him. If I've got multiple quality options, I'm going elsewhere.
So then Thielen,
Thielen
becomes a must start.
I agree with that. Because if Diggs is hobbled and not able to go, then Thielen and Rudolph both get a slight bump to me.
We have that.
The problem with Rudolph, the Green Bay Packers have they have not allowed any tight end to do anything this year. Last week was by far the biggest week they had given up, and I think it was 6 receptions for 68 yards. They haven't given up a single touchdown on the year. Just nothing.
So you are off of Kyle Rudolph? Because I would play him.
Yeah.
With the concern for Stefon Diggs, those targets are more than likely to go to Kyle Rudolph. We saw it happen last week. Kyle Rudolph would be the second best option behind Adam Thielen because I'm not Treadwell, Michael Floyd. They're not built into this offense yet.
Yeah, but the problem is with Kyle Rudolph. Kyle Rudolph last week, 6 for 45 and a touchdown. Got the touchdown. But 6 for 45 is very uninspiring. And so I think that's pretty much his ceiling. You're just doing the touchdown play. I will say this, the Green Bay Packers are going to put up points. So if you've got to go down and get more touchdowns, then I'm willing to start Kyle Rudolph only because of how bad other tight ends are. I'm not excited about him. I'm not calling for a big game. Adam Thielen is really the only piece here. I would start Jerick McKinnon based on last week, and I'm definitely, we talked about it yesterday, I'm still holding on to Latavius Murray. I would not be surprised if Latavius Murray has the better game this week than McKinnon.
Aaron Rodgers is a must-play despite the fact the Vikings defense is only allowing 17.4 points per game. That puts them at third best.
Irrelevant.
Yes, it's always irrelevant when Aaron Rodgers is the quarterback. I have said I will play Aaron Jones basically under all circumstances this week. Without Montgomery, he's a must-start. If Montgomery is there, he's just downgraded, but I still think that he gets the majority of the work.
Even against the Minnesota Viking defense that is so good in Minnesota.
Yes, even with that, the threat of Aaron Rodgers changes everything. Jordan Howard was having success last week, and that's with them worrying about Mitch Trubisky. I mean, Aaron Rodgers changes everything. Jordy is a must-go. Devontae Adams is a must-go. Randall Cobb. Where's your temperature on Randall Cobb, Jason, entering the season?
Entering the season,
you liked him.
I was a balmy 98 degrees.
Ooh.
Right now, it's 75 degrees.
So you were like, I swear.
I swear.
Yeah, see, you were on board with that one.
Yeah, there we go.
All right.
See, some can be winners.
I did it.
You did. What was the question?
Randall Cobb, where are you feeling?
Randall Cobb is someone you could start. He gets enough volume. He has Aaron Rodgers. The touchdowns can certainly come. We've seen them before. I'm not excited against Minnesota in Minnesota, but if you're in any kind of PPR league, I'm still going to throw him out there.
Fair enough. So you're not excited to play Kyle Rudolph. Martellus Bennett. Are you excited for Martellus Bennett?
No.
Green Bay Packers tight end. Everyone wants to play this guy every single week.
Well, when it comes to tight ends, I mean, he's getting the targets and even the receptions. I mean, he's had, a game with 5 receptions, a game with 6 receptions, never below 3 receptions. So he's involved. The problem is those receptions are as
those are hollow receptions.
They're as low value as they can be. I mean, he looks to me slow. You're going for a touchdown with him. So if you're asking me Kyle Rudolph or Martellus Bennett, I'm going Kyle Rudolph.
Thank you, because it has to be Kyle Rudolph.
Yeah, Kyle Rudolph at least goes down the field for some of his.
When he's not competing with 2 other tight ends.
And 3 great wide receivers.
Yeah, so I just I don't get the Martellus Bennett affection. I mean, look, I think he's a good player. I'm talking for fantasy. I don't get it how we're at this point of the season and people are still excited to play Martellus Bennett.
Yeah, I'm not.
Moving on. Lions and Saints. This is in the Superdome. New Orleans is favored by 5 points. A 50-point over-under. That's what we like to see.
That's the highest of the week. So the most points expected, according to Vegas, is right here in this game. Where are they going to go?
And I will take the under.
Ooh.
I don't.
No, I like it.
I don't understand why it's I take that back. I understand why it's 50 because it's the Saints, historically bad.
In New Orleans.
Yeah, and games get out of control with the high scoring. The Saints defense, they've looked much better the past couple weeks, and they're coming off of the bye week. Detroit is not a high-powered team. They are a slow team. Like they have every once in a while an explosive play to Jones or Galladay, but Galladay has been hurt the past couple of weeks. Other than that, they grind it out. They're getting Amir Abdullah more involved. Golden Tate gets these short little catches. Eric Ebron drops things. What are you with me that you're seeing an under 50 points?
I am not with you.
Uh-oh.
No, I like the take because it does give a little. Oh, all right, we got a water bet.
Water bet.
You're giving the respect
on the over-under, just to clarify for people.
Yes, I'm taking there will be more than 50 total points scored. You're taking the under 50 points total scored. The reason that I see this being more than 50 is because I don't think the Detroit Lions defense is going to be able to stop the New Orleans Saints.
They were
offense.
exposed last week.
They were exposed. The New Orleans Saints are coming off of a bye. They match up, I think, pretty poorly or perfectly here because the pass-catching running backs.
Poorly or perfectly?
Well, it depends on if you're talking about the Lions or the Saints. They both work.
My head is spinning, Jason. I don't know what is happening.
So the pass-catching running backs, I think, can exploit the Lions, and there are no better pass-catching running backs in the league than you have with the tandem of Mark Ingram and Alvin Kamara. So if New Orleans if they're able to rack up the points, what do we know about the Detroit Lions and Matthew Stafford? They are a fourth-quarter team. They do all their scoring in the fourth quarter every single week. Matthew Stafford just brings them back, and so that's why I'm taking the over.
All right.
How concerned are you, though, with Golden Tate?
I think there's definitely the concerns that – but he is – we talked about Golden Tate. I believe this was over the offseason when we're talking about the consistency because we have these consistency charts that you can find at jointhefoot.com, and we also had them in the Ultimate Draft Kit where Golden Tate, he's a 90-plus reception guy every year since he's been in Detroit, but then you take a look at his fantasy production, and it's all over the map. So I'm not actually concerned because this is who he is.
Right.
I mean, this is just who he is. I do like this matchup, though, for Golden Tate. I expect him to see some targets and have a fine fantasy day.
Yeah, I agree. I'm not very worried about Golden Tate. I've had a lot of questions about that. I'm not worried. He's leading them in receptions. He's leading them in targets. This is a high over-under. It's a beatable matchup. I'm starting Golden Tate. I'm probably going to be willing to take a flyer on Marvin Jones here as well, just because if they are coming back and they need those deep shots, I think Jones can be involved.
Saints have allowed – the defense has allowed passes of 20-plus yards on 21 of 132 attempts. That's second worst in the NFL. So big plays are happening.
So that's where Marvin Jones, I think, is an okay start.
And the Lions' defense, I mean, when we're talking about they got exposed, they've been surviving on turnovers. They're getting almost 1.5 interceptions a game. That's fourth best.
Drew Brees turn the ball over.
Drew Brees is not turning the ball over.
So we've got a career long enough to know that he's fine turning the ball over. Drew Brees, he'll throw for 5,000 yards, but he's not going to be the guy that's only throwing 7 interceptions on the year.
Amir Abdullah, are you feeling him in this matchup?
Amir Abdullah was almost my start of the week.
Ooh.
I absolutely love Amir Abdullah this week. I'm plugging him in if I've got him. His carry counts have been basically about 15 plus most of the season. This is a beatable matchup. I really like Amir Abdullah.
Patriots travel.
Wait.
Oh, I apologize. What do you got?
The Saints, pass catchers.
Oh, yes. Well, Michael Thomas is a must start.
Sit Willie Snead.
Yeah, it's not happening for Willie Snead. And that's another reason why I'm taking the under. I mean, Ted Ginn was brought in to be the speed replacement for Brandon Cooks. Michael Thomas is not a big play guy. Michael Thomas is he's Anquan Bolden.
Yeah.
He's just a really, really solid possession receiver, but he's not going down fields catching these 50 air yard receptions. It's just not happening. And it's not happening for Ted Ginn. We've really only seen it one time. So I'm only starting Michael Thomas. And I'll start Coby Fleener as well, just because of the tight end landscape. And Ed Dixon said, this is a good matchup for tight ends. As he rumbled for ridiculous yardage last week.
All right. Now we can move on.
Patriots, Jets. The Pats are on the road, yet they are favored by 9.5 points. 47.5 point over under. This game is interesting because the Jets are on a 3-game winning streak.
That's ludicrous.
I mean, it absolutely is.
They just can't even win at losing. I mean, they're trying.
Can't win at losing.
That's what I was going to ask.
Winning.
Jay, is their plan backfiring for the season?
It's just like they got to fire their head coach. He's doing too good a job. I mean, it's like, stop this, Todd Bowles.
It's Bizarro land. We have Bizarro Superman situation.
So as everyone expected, you've got the division leading team matchup here.
Yes,
for the Patriots Jets.
Just the wrong team.
Just the wrong team.
Tom Brady has said he is going to play. We know we talked about his injury in the MRI. So Tom Brady will be fine. The Jets pass. This is what's helping them. The Jets pass defense. They're 12th in the league in allowing passing yards. This was not expected at all from the New York Jets.
You're saying that the defense for the Jets has looked far better than people expected. Todd Bowles, a defensive coordinator type of he's always been a great defensive coordinator, great defensive-minded coach. However, the teams they have played have not been the most inspiring. They shut down Jay Cutler. So has everybody.
Fair.
They had Blake Bortles.
Fair.
They had last week the Cleveland Browns.
Fair.
Tyrod Taylor week 1 might be
Yeah, so you're saying this is simply a product of the schedule for the New York Jets?
Yes.
All right, so are you expecting Tom Brady to just come rain on the parade here?
Yes, Tom Brady is going to rain all over their parade and help them get back on the losing track that they so desperately desire.
Cooks, Hogan, Amendola, all start?
All start for sure. I would have made Hogan my start of the week. You would have as well, but we both realized everyone's
ridiculous.
That's ridiculous. If you have Hogan and you are questioning whether to start him ever, then our podcast cannot help you. We're not able to speak reason. I mean, Chris Hogan is.
It was going to be just a kind of a merit badge start of the week for me. That just a little attaboy for Chris Hogan. He's dominating.
He's our honorary start of the week together.
He is absolutely crushing it. And I still get questions of Hogan or this guy.
He's the wide receiver 1 for
Play Chris Hogan,
the team that every single week is expected by Vegas to score the most points.
Mike Gillislee has been a down trifecta of weeks because he has not gotten in the end zone. He still looks great, and he's getting those 10-plus carries. But James White is involved. Dion Lewis has been involved, looking good. Jets are 30th. Their defense is 30th against the run. Is Mike Gillislee, are you still confident playing him?
Yes. I mean, I am confident playing Mike Gillislee. I think
You're cautiously optimistic.
Yeah, I mean, it really stinks that he's not involved in the passing game. If you're in a standard league.
And he can catch the ball. Come on.
Right, he really can. He's got that skill set. But if you're in a standard league, I love Gillislee because his floor is as safe as anybody else. If you're in a half-point or a PPR league, all of a sudden his floor becomes, you can get a higher floor with Duke Johnson. But Gillislee still has the ceiling. He's looked great. He's ran well. So I'm okay starting Gillislee. But the guy that I'm going to be keeping my eyes on, I'm not saying to start him, but I am way going to be watching this week, and I'm going to be picking him up next week if the trends continue.
Ooh.
That's Dion Lewis.
Yeah.
Every single week he has been more involved, and he's looked like the Dion Lewis that was the number 7 running back in fantasy football when he was the starter for the Patriots. The Patriots appear to be seeing this. They're getting him more and more work. So if all of a sudden he ends up with a larger than expected carry total, I'm going to be picking him up.
On the New York Jets side, are you streaming Josh McCown against this bottom-ranked Patriots pass defense?
He is a streamable quarterback this week. I've seen plenty of people that say there's no quarterbacks available. I thought I was going to have Andrew Luck by now. Stream Josh McCown. He's going to have to throw the ball against a defense that has, we expect them to right the ship at some point, but the problems they have still exist. There's going to be some broken plays, and I think Josh McCown is good enough to take advantage.
So for the pass catchers then for the Jets, are you interested in starting any of them?
Yes, one.
Okay.
Austin Seferian-Jenkins.
Yes, I completely agree with you on this one because we are going to talk about him a little bit later in the starts section. But Jermaine Kearse, Robbie Anderson, I'm maybe if you're desperate.
The thing is
I would play Robbie.
I believe that between Jermaine Kearse and Robbie Anderson, one of them is going to have a really good game. But I have no idea who it's going to be. And that's a glory play or a desperation play where you're going to just get lucky. We can't use probability, which is what we do in fantasy football. We can't use that to accurately, rightly predict which one it's going to be. So take your guess, and my guess is probably going to be on another team.
All right, we're going to move to the starts of the week. We will hit the rest of the matchups tomorrow.
Starts of the week.
I'll kick it off here at the quarterback position. Cam Newton. Now, this may seem like an obvious one, but this is, if you know my past on this podcast with Cam Newton.
You've not been kind.
I have not been.
We both have not been kind.
We have not been in the camp supporting Cam Newton. But he looks fantastic. He looks healthy. The team is scoring. Devin Funchess has emerged as a go-to target for this.
Dixon.
And Ed Dixon, he'll probably up it to 200 yards this week.
Yeah. First,
indubitably.
250.
Oh, we're going to 250?
300. Can I get a 300?
But Cam Newton, it's a Thursday night matchup, which is the worst.
Oh, man, it's bold of you to take on a Thursday night matchup start of the week. Everyone's going to be watching tonight.
But the Eagles' secondary is beatable. I love Cam Newton in this matchup, so he's absolutely my start.
I am starting Kirk Cousins.
Ooh.
Another guy. I've thrown shade on the Washington Redskins offense as a whole. I think so far that has been legitimate and paid off. But Kirk Cousins, who started the year very slowly, had a couple of down weeks, got on track, has thrown, he had the great game against Oakland, 365 yards, 3 touchdowns. The San Francisco 49ers are an absolutely beatable defense. They're traveling from the West Coast, all the way to Washington, to our capital, and Washington's coming off of a bye. I think things are lining up here where it's just such a good, easy matchup for him that I don't see how he has a game where he doesn't throw 2 touchdowns, doesn't throw enough yards to be relevant. So he's a must-start for me.
Let's check in and get Jay Grizz. Let's get his quarterback start of the week. Excellent choice.
Oh, man.
Excellent
He's on my
choice.
waivers, so I like it. It's both a start of the week and a stream.
Right. Jay Grizz knows about streams.
Oh, he's always getting those salmon.
His food supply. What's the ruling on that? Is that a good one?
That's a great
I got
one.
you to giggle.
Yeah, I like the stream.
All right, at the running back position, I'm going with Mark Ingram. He will be freed. No Adrian Peterson coming in here, taking away those ridiculous touches that Adrian Peterson was getting. He is free to be the top 10 option that he is supposed to be. We already talked about pass-catching running backs can have success against the Detroit Lions. Now it's the Mark Ingram, Alvin Kamara show. So if you are questioning yourself, saying, Mark Ingram, plug him in. Where I have Mark Ingram, I'm plugging him in, and I'm loving every minute of it, Jason.
Yeah, I don't blame you. I love Mark Ingram. I've got him in many leagues. He is starting. I'm happy to start him. My start of the week at the running back position, said it earlier, it's Buck Allen, Javorius Buck Allen.
Javorius.
Who has been great. I mean, the volume and the
his volume has been great.
Yes, his volume has been great. It's been everything you could want from any fantasy football player. He has 2 weeks with over 20 rushing attempts just on the ground. And then if you look at his pass-catching role that he has there, his floor is as high as some players' ceiling. Here's his reception totals the last 4 weeks. 5, 5, 6, 4. I mean, you're averaging over 5 receptions a game, plus getting 20-plus carries on the ground, and now you're going up against Chicago. You're at home. Terrence West is out. I mean, I think there's Javorius Allen is a guy that's going to be in my lineup in most all situations. I know someone in our I believe one of the guys in our listener league was asking, Alshon Jeffrey or Javorius Allen. I'm going Buck Allen.
Wow.
For sure.
That's bold.
I don't think it's that bold.
All right. My wide receiver start of the week is Taylor Gabriel.
Oh, also, listen to this. Chicago. Guess how many touchdowns they've given up to the running back in week 1? It was 1. Week 2, it was 1. Week 3, it was 1. Week 4, it was 1. Week 5, it was 1.
You didn't give me time to guess.
Yeah, I was worried you were going to take the over. But they're giving up a touchdown every single week to the running back.
My wide receiver start of the week, Taylor Gabriel, no Mohamed Sanu. Last year, weeks 8 through 15, Taylor Gabriel was a wide receiver 2 or better in 6 of 7 games. He was a wide receiver 1 twice. Over that span, he was the wide receiver 4 in points per game with 6 touchdowns. I know he's a volatile player, but with improved playing time, a great matchup against the Miami Dolphins, I'm all about that Taylor Gabriel plug-and-play life this week.
Yeah, he's obviously a little bit riskier because of his involvement or perceived lack thereof, but I really like this. He would be the guy from the waivers that I would pick up and start over many people that are already on rosters that you would think you're going to regularly start. I am a little upset that you, to be honest, rudely skipped the running back pick from Jay Grizz.
Oh, my goodness.
So I refuse to talk my
Jay Grizz, I send over my sincerest apologies.
Don't piss off Jay Grizz.
Can I get your running back pick?
He's a 7-foot bear. Thank you.
What do you think of that pick?
I think Jordan Howard is a good pick. Way to go. Team Bears. Okay, Danny
So, wait,
Amendola.
I mean, his quarterback was clearly Mitch Trubisky, right?
Yeah, I said he's on waivers, right?
Yeah, he's living in the stream.
All right, Danny Amendola is my start of the week. You know, Chris Hogan is the honorary start. You've got Brandon Cooks, you've got Chris Hogan, you've got Danny Amendola. Can you really get value out of all three? The answer is yes. Danny Amendola is their running back through the air. That's the role. In games that he's actually played the whole game, he hasn't had fewer than 6 receptions.
Nice correction.
Yeah.
The grammar patrol.
If you want proper grammar,
You know where to go.
You go to me. You go to Jason Moore, grammar extraordinaire. That's wrong right there. All right, so Danny Amendola last week, 8 for 77. They use him in the red zone as well. He's got a touchdown 2 weeks ago. I think this is a matchup where Danny Amendola, right now, he's healthy. You start him. Rule 80-11.
Very nice. Jay Grizz. Kendall Wright is his call.
Can't get behind it, Jay. Sorry.
Yeah, I cannot either. At the tight end position, I'm starting Austin Safarian-Jenkins. He's getting the Sir Mix-a-Lot double up. Ooh, because he was a start last week, came through. Since coming back from his suspension, he's been a tight end 1. That's where we are. He's getting targets. He gets the Patriots. I'm playing Austin Safarian-Jenkins, and I'm feeling good about it.
All right. I really like that. I said he's a start for sure, and I think he has the potential to be a top 6.
He could be somebody.
I think he could be a top 6 tight end rest of season. I mean, I'm not calling for that, but he's got the talent and the role and the landscape of tight ends where that's high enough odds where you can kind of project that. The guy that I'm going with, my goose.
Oh, the goose.
The goose is totally loose.
How loose is the goose?
Come on, all you offense. All right. Hunter Henry, the goose himself, he has been more and more.
Shake your caboose.
Yes. He had 8 targets last week. That's what you want from Hunter Henry. You want him running routes. You want him being involved in the passing game. And he's still available on some waivers. He was dropped because of the double goose in a lot of leagues, and he's been forgotten about, but he's got a touchdown the last 2 weeks. Antonio Gates is not all that involved. Phillip Rivers has always used he's always used the tight end better than just about any quarterback in modern history, which is why, is it Gates or is it Phillip Rivers?
To be fair, he has a Hall of Fame tight end. He has
but did he make the Hall of Fame?
Yeah, chicken or egg.
I believe that this is a matchup where Hunter Henry is startable. There's no tight end other than Zach Ertz that I'm looking forward to starting every single week. Hunter Henry could goose, but I think the goose is going to get loose.
All right, and we're going to keep this bit going because that's what we do, Jay Grizz. Who's your tight end? Zach Miller. I can get behind Zach Miller.
Yeah, there's worse options out there.
All right. Now we have to go to the most important start of the week.
Jason Moore's ironclad, locked and loaded, 100% guaranteed boom boom kicker of the week.
Before Jason unleashes just fire, he actually transforms into a dragon, and fire erupts from his mouth like a volcano. But I have to, if you're not on the YouTube, Jason was preparing during that drop. He's stretching. He's doing vocal warm-ups. Me. So this better be good.
Justin Tucker. He is my start of the week. As I said.
No. He's your boom boom kicker of the week.
He's my boom boom ironclad, locked and loaded, 100% guaranteed boom boom kicker of the week. Justin Tucker, coming in, everyone drafted him as the number 1 kicker. The Baltimore offense has been bad, but they've been getting better. This is a good matchup to move the ball. Justin Tucker was great last week, and so he's my locked and loaded guarantee. Boom, boom.
So, Jason, you're saying that Justin Tucker owners should not sit him. They should play him.
Yes. It's a dumb segment from the get-go, Brooks. We shouldn't ever talk about kickers. Get them out of your league. You know what, kickers? Kick them out.
Ooh.
Kick the kickers. It's like the back
So
when your back
when I make the double word pun, it's terrible.
Look, I don't claim that all mine are good either. Can I get a ruling on kicking the kickers, Brooks?
Oh, Judge Giamatti.
No good.
No.
Gotta stay consistent.
All right, fair enough.
All right, and before we close the show out, we have to mailbag because I see a question in here that has to be tackled.
Ooh.
Mailbag.
Thank you for the backup.
Yeah.
This one comes in from Jesse in Effingham. Commissioner issues.
Bonjour.
What do you do as a commissioner if a team said they would trade Hunt for Le'Veon Bell? Problem is, they traded Akeem Hunt, not Kareem Hunt. Technically, he didn't lie. He traded Hunt for Bell. The other owner simply assumed they were getting Kareem.
Yeah.
Curious, what are you going to do on this?
Without a doubt, if I'm the commissioner, I'm undoing this trade. I realize that the owner should have.
Yeah, where's the responsibility on the owner?
I think that there's
when the trade comes in and you see it's a Hunt. Read the fine print.
No, there is. I think there's gentleman's rules unspoken. Okay, you know why he made the trade. Everyone knows why he made the trade, except it wasn't the real reason. It's not the player that was assumed, and the player that's offering that, right? The one that's trying to get one over
Getting
on
the
him.
sneaky wins.
I mean, come on, man. No, I would. If I was the commissioner, I would 100% undo it, and I would assume that I would have the support of 10 of the other owners if it's a 12-team league.
So if you're in a draft and someone accidentally takes Akeem Hunt in the second round, would you have stopped the draft and let them reverse it?
It's a slightly different situation.
It's pretty similar. I mean, there is user error.
Yes, there is user error, but there was no one trying to deceive you. That's the difference.
I'm just trying to be the devil's advocate over here. You have to overturn that. That is garbage.
Right, good.
Get a quick question in?
Oh, from
Guys?
Brooks across the room.
Yeah.
Bonjour.
What if it's just an agreement in like their Facebook message or something, just Hunt for,
That I assume that's what happened. Is they said this person thought they were being a sneaky Pete and said, "Hey, I'll give you Hunt for Le'Veon Bell." They just did not specify which Hunt they were going to send. They could have even said,
at some point they accepted it through the system and it would say a Hunt.
That's why I'm saying there's user error, but come on, people.
Yeah.
We got to do better, and we will try to do better tomorrow. As always, thank you for checking out the show. Foot Clan, draft.com/ballers to get your DFS on this weekend.
Getting that big tournament.
And we will see you tomorrow. Goodbye.
Thank you for listening to another episode of the Fantasy Footballers Podcast. Join our fantasy football community on jointhefoot.com and follow us on Twitter @TheFFBallers.